Leaf would know not to doubt the G2 fans, that they will win any fan vote in Rocket League at any time, regardless of how dominant the opponent they're going up against is to be. Space Station is quite the dominant opponent.
Absolutely, and when you talk about offense, they know how to pour it on, and I'm going to have to agree with Gibbs on this one. I think the difference maker is going to be that defense from Space Station Gaming. G2 has a lot of shots on net, especially when you look at differentials between teams, but that puts them out of game-saving potentials where they push themselves up past midfield and they leave their net wide open.
Well, we get into our first best of 7 of the day into the semifinals. Now you got to win 4 if you want to play into the grand finals. Got Space Station and G2 on one side, Envy and NRG on the other. Easily the top 4 teams in the region as far as consistency, clout, experience. It makes sense that they're here, and RIZZO gets a save in the enemy net. Push that one away. Space Station says, thanks, appreciate the help.
Yeah, Space Station had a beat on that ball already, though, so it was a good touch from RIZZO. Just throw things off, but this is a dangerous one. Chicago able to get up in time, but there's Arsenal just keeping the pressure, and get used to that picture. Space Station so aggressive in their offensive half, but they're so smart as we see them rotate picture perfectly back and bomb the ball back into the blue half.
JNaps with an interception in the air. Demolition onto the goalie. The shot from Arsenal just wide of the net. The play had been completely set up, just needed to take the shot. And now here on the other end, here's RIZZO looking for a counterattack. Goes for the fake play underneath one. SYPICAL couldn't reach it. Oh, but Arsenal comes out of the back of the net and makes the save. Pressure still on from G2. Both follow-up touches too high.
My goodness, that save came out of nowhere. And I thought G2 should have had a goal on that one, but instead, RETALS going to push this one back into the orange half. And I love the clears that we've seen from SSG. Good stop there on the goal line from JNaps, but a pass midfield. And SSG looking so dangerous on offense right now.
G2 trying to put pressure on once more. RETALS with a flick in the midfield. A demolition onto RIZZO. Creates the momentary power play. RETALS looks for the pass. They have to play it back into the corner. Presence of JNaps too much. RIZZO demolished, and the third man, and now JNaps gone as well. Chicago falling back, leaves the backfield wide open. The respawns are going to have to catch it, and they do. JNaps now onto the wall, back into the mid. RETALS will just crank one from the midfield, and a redirect from SYPICAL scores the first goal of the series.
And just pure aggression from SSG. Demos popping off all over the field, and good push forward from RETALS. He was the last man back, and he just needed a little touch from SYPICAL to help that ball go into the back of the net.
They had that one dead to rights there. A few times we've seen SSG really have G2 up against the ropes already, and we're not even halfway through game number 1. G2 gonna need to get that high-powered offense cranking. Oh my goodness, RETALS denies it. The SSG defense standing up strong, and now it's RETALS versus Chicago. Other side of the field, takes to the sky, gets the demo on him. RETALS did it to him, 2-0 Space Station.
Oh, the 1v1 skills coming out and being put fully on display. Here he goes up and sets his sights on Chicago, and Chicago disappears as that ball flutters into the net, and just like that, a 2-0 lead in favor of SSG.
And rewind 15 seconds before RETALS makes that magic happen. An excellent double tap setup, defended perfectly, and now off the kickoff, Arsenal gets it. The SSG defense is what we were talking about before the game. It's the offense that is just absolutely on fire right now.
Yeah, Arsenal was feeling a little sad there, wanted to get involved himself, as with that one, all 3 members of Space Station Gaming getting a goal, and all 3 members making sure this team is firing on all cylinders. And right now, if you're a G2 esports fan, you got to start sounding some alarm bells, because right now they have had no answer for the offense. Jeez. And another one put on by RETALS. 2 goals, 2 assists here in game number 1.
I mean, there's still half the game to go, and it's basically already over. RETALS in particular having a highlight day as he puts another one over the aggressively positioned third man. G2 going to start to become more and more aggressive. You're going to see that here as the game progresses on, because they really have to. There's no other way around this. They barely get back in time to block a 5th goal, and now Chicago looking for a counterattack down the field. If they want to start the game, they've got to do it right now. There's half the game left to play with, but still a 4-goal comeback is difficult. Chicago's touch is wide. Didn't even force the goalie to make the save. They get it off the rebound. Now on the other side, infield pass. RIZZO's got a save. He'll get himself a savior medal here for game number 1. Crazy that G2 has put up 4 saves and still allowed 4 goals.
Oh, and
finally.
RIZZO got the bump on RETALS there. Incredible. And this could be the start that G2 Esports needed here in game 1.
They definitely need this as RIZZO, yeah, returns the favor to RETALS, sets up the ball, goes, yep, that'll drop in, and then goes and hunts down the backboard defense. First goal for G2 of the series. Let's see if they can create 3 more. They definitely have enough time, and if there's any team that knows how to play offense, it's G2.
Absolutely, and what a comeback would that be here in game 1. It'd be one of the greatest that I've ever seen, and it could be another one, but SYPICAL avoided the demo from RIZZO, and just like that, the counterattack comes out from Space Station Gaming. Man, they can create offense just at the flip of a switch, and not just the shot that just, it's soft on target, but a shot that truly makes your defense make their heart kind of flutter.
Arsenal picks it up out of the corner, only got RIZZO to beat. RIZZO has another save. Now in the corner, SYPICAL into an empty box. Chicago's there. Gets it away from the net, back in front, and Arsenal will try to play it out of the corner. G2 defenders getting in his way. He only gets to touch it one time. Now here's a counter take down. RETALS out of goal. Will get it to the side.
That's one of those ones where you kind of scratch your head and go, maybe a pass would be better going downfield instead of just launching the ball on target when 2 defenders are already rotating back. But that's neither here nor there as the final minute is onto us into this one as SYPICAL uses Arsenal. A little help to clear this ball downfield, and game number 1 gonna be all SSG, and G2 have got a lot of figuring out to do in the next minute 40.
If my memory serves me correctly, there's only been one 4-goal comeback in the history of the RLCS, and it was in a qualifier for either seasons 2 or 3. Never in normal league play, definitely not in a playoff situation. So would have been an unprecedented comeback, but 23 seconds left, down by 3. Not going to happen here. Space Station, so we talked about the defense before the game started. We saw the offense pop off, particularly RETALS having a great game, but there were some amazing moments, particularly, I believe it was a JNAP's double tap getting defended in net, as JNAP's will put in one here in the waning moments. 2 goals, 7 seconds. If they get a kickoff goal, technically possible, but I'm feeling like this one's over.
Yeah, definitely. And like we said, could be the greatest comeback of all time if it does happen, but that's a big if, and I don't think it is going to happen. So right SSG going to close this one out, and yes, you called it. This kickoff so crucial. Goes the right way, but SYPICAL smartly just pokes it up, forces the defense up in the air, and game 1, SSG.
SSG take that one down, and yeah, I want to go back to that. The JNAP's double tap gets fully defended by one defender. Arsenal puts on another great display. JNAP's is there to clean it up on the other side. Still, the score line here in game number 1, not going to tell you the picture if you're looking it up in the history books later on. 3-4, but it was 4 for the majority of the game.
Yeah, it was all SSG, and G2 didn't have the answer to slow down SSG at all, and I think it begins at midfield. You've got to take some of those boost pads away to slow SSG up, and doing so will give you some more space. So let's see how G2 come out in game number 2, because I'm really going to be looking at the first 30 seconds. I think it's really going to implicate how not only game 2 is going to go, but how the whole series is going to go.
Yeah, and the goals they scored here in the winning moments, while they won't help them win the game, are a nice demonstration of ways you can deal with the Space Station. We saw the first 2 goals both involving bumping the goalies off the goal line, which is something that players like RETALS and Arsenal are going to be very, very familiar with. This is RETALS' bread and butter back on the Peeps and the Pittsburgh Knights when that was his primary roster. So it's not that he's not going to understand that style of play, but it was working very well there at the end of the game. So I'm interested to see if they get a little bit more physical, combine that with some boost control in the midfield, and we might see an even series.
Yeah, and one thing that seems similar on all those SSG goals was the spacing of G2. It's like, where are all 3 members? You consistently would see one guy close to the ball, and then the other 2 nowhere to be found. So G2 need to tighten things up, especially on defense, if they're going to want to hang with SSG.
Well, game number 2 underway. Space Station currently leading in the series. G2 looking to bounce back after dropping game 1. RIZZO trying to take control in midfield. Arsenal versus Chicago high in the sky. Chicago will get more of that one, send it towards the box, but RETALS picks it back up, sends it to the corner, and then neutral challenges back towards the box again. Chicago lurking in front. SYPICAL got a little bit loose there, didn't control his car on that backboard. JNAP's up for him against Arsenal. Nice block, and SYPICAL in it, covered up. No! RIZZO too fast. G2 takes the lead.
And you got to rewind. SYPICAL went up to get that ball, hit his head on the bottom of the crossbar, and that would allow G2 to keep this pressure. And just like that, RIZZO just fires a hard shot straight down the gut of the net, and G2 open up game number 2. What a response from them from game 1.
It's the speed with which G2 is able to read the situation. RIZZO left the ground pretty much the moment he saw that the shot wasn't going in from JNaps. He had already had the shot ready, or he knew once he got in the air, he could fine-tune it to take the shot on the way there. He just needed to know, should I go or not? That's the sort of speed that has G2 in the top 4 of the region and makes them one of the most deadly teams in the world for a few seasons now. RETALS out to the edge, RIZZO towards the goal. JNaps rotating back. Chicago up on the far rotation. Wasn't going to be immediately there for the follow-up. SYPICAL now through 1 and through 2. A demolition on Chicago is going to tangle up the defense here as it's back in front of the box. RETALS shot is wide. Arsenal stays grounded as Chicago's already airborne, and he'll try to cover up the pass to RIZZO. Back into the midfield. JNaps with a crank to the corner. SYPICAL past 1. He's got half a tank of boost, but too much downward velocity. He had to let that one fall down and reset. RIZZO on the enemy's flank. There's Arsenal now. Just pushes it to the midfield, and an interception from Chicago will see JNaps with control in the enemy corner. Pass in field to RIZZO, followed it himself, but intercepted by SYPICAL. This one goes into the blue, and Chicago has to play it out of the front of the box. Carries it over the top of one, flip, reset off the ceiling. RETALS will clear it away off the backboard.
G2's doing a much better job of boost control here. Multiple times now I've seen, oh, no way! JNaps gets turned away by SYPICAL. Great opportunity, but SSG hold on the ball downfield. And just like that, G2 Esports got caught a little too far forward.
They committed to that play. Third man again in no man's land in the midfield. A boom over the top of him. Puts it into the goal. Arsenal will just guide it away and steal the goal. That's a tie game. Space Station catch them with their pants down again.
Yeah, and you think, oh, we're doing so good. We're keeping the pressure on them. And I was talking about how well they were doing with the boost steals. They were controlling them in their defensive half. But all it takes is a snap of the finger, and SSG can break out on offense. But JNaps snaps the shot on target, and this game's going back and forth.
The neutral vertical play, and then the dunk from Chicago on SYPICAL to set it up off the corner. JNaps has the read. These guys are so fast on the reads of the balls. They know where it's going to be a few seconds out from whatever trajectory it's currently on.
Right.
Gives them the ability to take those shots so quickly.
And that's the crazy thing watching the RLCS. It's just like, how do these guys know where the ball is consistently going to be going off the sidewalls, back walls, ceiling? The way they can read this game is incredible, and some of the wisdom that the players can bring to the field is just so great to watch as SYPICAL gets a good dunk there on RIZZO. Top of the box, JNaps forced to go up, and Chicago gets it to the side. Much needed clear from RIZZO here, but they're not out of deep water just yet.
Back in the midfield, Arsenal made the attempt, and now JNaps just beating 2 players. RETALS will now try to bump RIZZO. Doesn't find him. RIZZO gets all of it and puts it back to the box. He's out of boost, but it gives some space for Chicago down in the corner. Passes down to JNaps. JNaps removed from the field, and here comes Space Station. SYPICAL will beat RIZZO in the midfield. Arsenal on a loose ball. JNaps gets there first. Arsenal has to flip off, take the midfield boost, and now over the top of 2. Arsenal to the corners here. He's going to try and land on the wall, gain some traction once more, and challenge again, but G2 holding on to it in the midfield. Arsenal up for it. This one looks good. Ooh. No, it's just too high, and RIZZO will push it to the edge. RETALS shot again high. Arsenal back into the box. Back down in front. Here's SYPICAL towards the goal, and JNaps will get it back to midfield. RETALS now in the sky again. G2 not quite out of it as the pressure continues. The midfield rotation's clean from Space Station, and RETALS now the pass down to Arsenal. It's high again. Accuracy just a little bit off for Space Station.
Oh my goodness, somehow G2 come out unscathed in that defensive stance. All 3 members were under like 12 boosts that entire time. Great way on feathering boost and getting a much needed clear. Now they just have to hang on for another minute, and they take game number 2.
G2 definitely tightening things up in the midfield, shutting down the opportunities from Space Station, and fewer solo goals making it through as well. Only the 1 long-range shot from Space Station finding the back of the net. 30 seconds about to be left on the clock as JNaps looks for a double tap. SYPICAL back out in front, and Arsenal will try to get it to RETALS. A little bit of confusion here from Space Station. All 3 players making contact just to get the ball to midfield and lose a challenge to Chicago. Now SYPICAL flips it high. JNaps had backed off. He's out of boost, but he stalls the ball in the midfield and gives his teammates time for the reads. Chicago now, long one down, and Arsenal catching in midfield. Holds it onto it on his hood, wins another challenge. RETALS thinks for it. He's in the air, up against JNAPS, back across the box. Here's SYPICAL to put it in front, and now it bounces off the goal line and out. The clears come through. 3 seconds left. Ball still airborne, but boost is going to be a hard commodity, and the time will expire. G2 take game 2 and bounce back.
SSG were continually knocking at the front door there, but G2 Esports able to latch the deadbolt tight there and hang on. And I love the turnaround and the quick goal we saw from RIZZO in the early moments of the game. Took 29 seconds, and bang, G2 were right back in this series.
Yeah, no, the aggression and the accuracy from G2, I think accuracy is really how I would summarize game number 2 here on both sides. The teams, when they had opportunities to take the shots, were they good? Were they on target? The times we saw RIZZO just attacking as quickly as possible and doing the fine-tuning adjustments he needed to make the shot happen while in transit to the ball was the difference between him scoring there and not scoring, because the defense was collapsing on it so quickly. Space Station's defense is going to get up and read the ball more quickly than the offense. Generally on defense, you're going to read more quickly than offense just because the play is so much less precise for you. Like, as a defender, putting the ball just in general anywhere other than your net is good. So you always can get in the air a little bit faster. Also, the ball is generally heading towards you. So the Space Station offense going to always have a slight edge over any, or Space Station defense, excuse me, and have an edge over the G2 offense there. So RIZZO's speed in reading the difference between scoring that first goal or not.
Absolutely, and I think another huge difference maker there was limiting the opportunities that RETALS had. He was on fire in game number 1, 2 goals, 2 assists, and then he comes out of game 2 with a big goose egg. So if you're G2, you try and just keep the leash on RETALS and limit the opportunities that you give over to him.
SYPICAL off of kickoff here in game 3, puts it above the G2 backboard, or onto the G2 backboard above their goal. Chicago now with a response after the backboard clear. Arsenal down to RETALS. Intercepted by RIZZO. But a win from SYPICAL, gets it to midfield. Now Chicago with a bit of space. Sends it towards the box, back and forth. Counter touches from both sides. Neither team really able to string too much together here. It's a long touch from Arsenal. Responded by JNAPS. Here's Chicago and JNAPS trying to push it down the other side. RIZZO in the third man will challenge Arsenal here. Gets a neutral touch. RETALS should have this one, but an awkward approach. He'll actually find Arsenal, who's just got enough boost to get it towards the goal, and the ball will be just high as he runs out and has to rotate out.
And then somehow got a flip reset on that ball. The mechanics that these players have just always put me in awe, and to be honest, a little jealousy behind it, because it's just anytime they want to do it, they can bust it out. As SYPICAL gets a great double touch there and puts it over to RIZZO, who's forced in an awkward spot. You see him kind of flipping around on that side wall just to try and get a touch. SYPICAL going to steal it right back away, and here comes SSG on offense. Chicago puts it to the side, and the clears are the difference maker for G2 right now. They're smartly putting the ball where SSG are not.
When they're able to get these clears to these empty corners, it gives them the space to reset, refill their tanks, and then go on the offensive. RIZZO there, having to play it out of his own corner. They had a little stint there of actually struggling to get any clears. Chicago now sets up RIZZO. Back to the corner, RETALS will have this one. And Chicago, what a read, onto the wall, setting up JNAPS in the midfield. SYPICAL reads the pass, finds a block, and RETALS touch just a bit strong. Now out of this corner, Chicago try to get it back to JNAPS, up against SYPICAL and Arsenal. They'll play in the midfield. RIZZO shot just a bit high of the goal. Arsenal trying to connect with RETALS on the outside. And then a demolition onto SYPICAL as well. A bit of pressure from both sides. The demo game starting to get stronger from both sides of the field.
Yeah, and you love to see it coming out from RIZZO, getting involved on the offensive half, but Arsenal gets an insane angle, but turned away by the post. And somehow RETALS able to get a 50-50 on that ball. And we're nearing the first half of gameplay, and still both teams all tied up. This is a defensive battle up and down both orange and blue sides of the half.
Chicago out of this corner as we approach halftime. Neither team on the board. RETALS now with control. He's got a friend upfield looking to create bumps. Arsenal tried to find Chicago, and that bump probably would have given us goal number 1. I think it was under the crossbar from RETALS, but now Arsenal up against RIZZO in the midfield. JNAPS quick reads, keeps this one high and in neutral territory, but RETALS over the top. What? You saw the defender out for boost, left it wide open.
Where is the defense. This ball should never come this close to the net, and just a simple breakdown on the rotation from G2 Esports puts the first goal in for Space Station Gaming.
And with the way this game's been going, that one goal might be all you need to get a win.
Absolutely.
Towards the box. JNAP's following kickoff, looking to equalize. The far wall, RIZZO will put it to the corner. Arsenal. One touch, no, and an infield pass to JNAP's accuracy on the far side. Shot placement will tie the game.
Just a disgusting play from G2 Esports. An indefensible midfield pass, and JNAP's goes far post. Good IQ there to put that all the way away from the defense. And just like that, the turnaround, G2 puts themselves right back in game number 3.
Okay, so we're tied up in the series, tied up in the game. And a reminder, it's a best of 7 to downfield. Oh my goodness, the pass was solid, but RIZZO covers it up and sends an awkward shot away to take away the shooting opportunities from the rest of Space Station. Chicago now across midfield. He gets a demolition on the 1. Loses the challenge against SYPICAL, and RIZZO will move in to take over control. Gets a pinch in front of the goal. JNAP's up for it, and RETALS gets just enough in the way. Here's SYPICAL, long-range shot. Chicago far back this time and not getting boost. He will get up and make that stop. Now Arsenal with a touch pass. JNAP's down to SYPICAL. Nice setup here, up against RIZZO. RIZZO will just tackle that shot, get it away from his box. RETALS turns it back in. Space Station pressure starting to build once more. And there it is! Off the goal, off the ceiling there. That's the lead back for Space Station.
And that was just too much pressure from Space Station. They had a 3v1 situation, and they kept the ball in the blue half, and it opened up a perfect shot for SYPICAL. And Space Station Gaming feeling comfortable going into this last minute of gameplay.
106. Space Station, they took the win in game number 1 now, looking to get that lead back. In game 3, Arsenal follows behind this one, and Chicago takes it away. He's going to get it past 2. He's got JNAP's to work with in the midfield and only 1 defender to beat. JNAP's just looks for the goalie. Chicago was in no position to take that shot at the end of that run, and now JNAP's turning this one back in onto the backboard. Chicago up for it. The defense missed. Tie game.
Oh my goodness, you can't have this mistake. This is a ball you have to clear, and look at the turn on that ball by JNAP's. Gets the picture perfect glass pass off of the glass, and Chicago ties it up. As soon as Space Station scores, G2's right on their heels to follow suit.
That miss from SYPICAL, man, we were talking about the Space Station defense, but finally a crack in the armor. And G2 strikes. 35 seconds left in the game and tied back up. Overtime starting to glint on the horizon. SYPICAL not able to beat Chicago. It's above and on the backboard. Defense not really set up, but the shooters nowhere to be seen from G2. And now the attack back the other way. JNAP's will turn this one around. RIZZO follows it. And now looking for defenders to help pave the way for Chicago. Here's JNAP's. Challenge at the point of contact. RIZZO. JNAP's in the midfield. A win from RETALS. Final 8 seconds. Chicago in the sky. Lots of boost. Follows this one over the top of 1. He's going to need some help. Out to the corner. JNAP's was following too closely with the ball and won't be there to get the read on it. We'll just go to overtime in game 3.
And just by those last 30 seconds of gameplay, Space Station Gaming playing a little hesitant there on defense. That split second that they consider going up could be the difference maker, but SYPICAL, nice challenge on that ball, but Chicago's there to follow suit, gets the touch. Dangerous ball midfield, but a double commit comes out from Space Station Gaming, so not too much danger for G2, but this one could be dangerous as JNAP's gets the much-needed touch.
RIZZO pre-jumps that one, gets a block, but a bump onto Chicago. It's all to JNAP's, and he gets it neutral enough with RETALS to buy some time for his team. Now, infield pass, SYPICAL to the backboard. RIZZO to his corner. And JNAP's will look for a clear. He finds Chicago, an excellent teamwork to get this ball all the way to the Space Station corner. Now Arsenal's going to have to do this by himself. Through 1, gets some help from his team from behind. They play it back around. The goal is open. Chicago slams the door at the last possible moment. And we'll keep playing. Here's RETALS now. Got a teammate on the far side, but RIZZO on the backboard going to be just too much. Pass back in. RIZZO stops it once more. In front of the box, Chicago. Lots of space. A flick over 1. Up against RETALS now in the goal. RETALS off that backboard. He's got control of the ball, still 30 boost in his tank, but loses to RIZZO once more. RIZZO's challenge is consistently solid in this overtime.
Oh, and JNAP's needed to get that touch. He was the last man back and elected to push forward on it as Arsenal gets the pinch, gets the goal, and just like that, game is in favor of SSG.
You know, I mean, RIZZO here going up against Arsenal. He's just going for the challenge just to stop him. I feel like the pinch is a bit fortunate for him. Space Station will take it though. Happy to have the win in game 3 and now up 1 in the series.
Absolutely. Sometimes you need a little lady luck on your side, and sometimes you're just good enough at 50-50s to get the ball to go where you want. But look at the shot count from G2 Esports. 10 put on the board, but they were not outpaced. It just, SSG just that much better there. 2 more shots put on board, and just like that, game 3 in favor of SSG. And I want to ask you, Wave, G2 looked so strong there, and in the blink of an eye, it all changes. What do you think they need to do on defense to be able to break out more to create offensive opportunities?
You brought up their clear game at one point, and I think they had moments, especially early on in the game, where the clear game was very strong and just constantly forcing an aggressive, thirsty Space Station offense to hit the brakes, hit reverse, go back to their half. We got to go get the ball. They dumped it over our heads again. But G2 then they started to, I think that the midfield started to tighten up for Space Station, and G2 was having trouble getting, they didn't have trouble getting the ball out of their box. They were doing a good job stopping the scoring there, but they were constantly playing the balls to the corners, and we saw multiple sieges for Space Station get fully booted up. And honestly, this game was pretty even. I feel like if G2 continues to play that game, we're going to see them win quite a few more, and we will probably go to game 7, especially RIZZO and JNAPS here. Oh, blocked by SYPICAL to get that one away. But I have been very impressed with RIZZO's play throughout this game, throughout this match, especially in the midfield, a place that I think he has notoriously struggled a little bit in previous seasons. But to this season and this game has been wonderful from RIZZO.
I've got to agree. When you talk about players that have been around the game for so long and continue to just stay at the top, RIZZO's on that list, and he's always been on that list. Just a consistently good player, putting consistent shots on net, but in the defense, able to get the save in Chicago there for the cleanup.
Chicago cleans it up, puts it off of a defender too. Arsenal coming out of net, just trying to get a save. He actually flips off that wall, and then his positioning is what allows it to go in. Ball was probably going to go in anyways, but still a stylish way for G2 to get on the board here in game number 4.
How does G2 already have 3 shots?
That was bang, bang, bang.
It's incredible.
Yeah, these guys be very, very efficient. Rocket League also generous at giving out shot stats. Chicago over to the corner now. SYPICAL here, looking to react. RETALS into the midfield. JNAPS will pick up this ball, take to the sky with it. He's got a full tank to work with to get the flip reset. Didn't quite have the positioning to use it if he did. Now RIZZO to stop. That one beats one player, but Arsenal gonna get underneath this one. RETALS if he just hit his break at the corner, it would have bounced off him and in, but maybe just a little bit too coordinated. He's gonna try and do it now by himself. The defense gets in the way once more. Arsenal up for it. RIZZO stops it at the goal line. SYPICAL out of the corner is gonna try and push it back in front of the box, but Chicago's there, and now defenders holding him down. SYPICAL was absolutely just in JNAPS' face, in the back of the net. Chicago and JNAPS here are going to try and get this one away from SYPICAL, and they'll do just that. Now Chicago on the outfield pass, blocked by Arsenal on the goal line on the retreat.
Incredible turnaround defense there from Arsenal. Looked like SSG were starting to panic. We saw a double commit come out, but just like that, they get the save. The ball back in the half, and SYPICAL can't quite get the challenge he wanted, as G2's going to be able to push into offense with this ball as Chicago's up. Ball missed, and RETALS has an opportunity for a fast break.
RIZZO take his time clearing it. It wasn't important that he did it quickly, just important that he actually did clear, as he knew 3 Space Station players were going to be pushing the middle. Now here comes RETALS. RIZZO with another save. JNAPS passed one, using the wall. Arsenal to stall it. JNAPS looks for RETALS in goal, and Arsenal just plays that frontline defense. RETALS doesn't even have to touch the ball. Now JNAPS gets bumped off it. Here's SYPICAL in to cover it up. RETALS bumped off to the edge by RIZZO. The bump game in particular is super strong for both teams right now. G2 constantly pushing passing lanes and changing up the positioning of Space Station, making it very difficult for them to work together as a 3-man roster.
Yeah, I think the bumps are benefiting G2 right now. We saw RIZZO take RETALS out of the picture, and SYPICAL was looking for an infield pass, and had that bump not come out, it surely would have led to a shot and possibly a goal. So G2 Esports kind of saying, hey, we know you guys are the bump and demo kings in North America, but we're not going to let you come out and punch us in the face. As Chicago fires that right down the gut and can't quite hit the target, as G2 looking very strong here in midfield.
SYPICAL Slows this one down and absolutely flicks his mind into the gutter there. Tie game from Space Station.
Nasty 1v1 skills. He slows it up, makes JNAP stop on that wall, and all momentum is lost, and he knows it. Puts the ball right center mass. And just like that, SSG tie game 4 up.
My goodness, what a shot from SYPICAL. And now trying to steal the corner boost. Actually misses the corner boost. Arsenal will come through. They were looking to immediately take the lead back on kickoff. JNAP's in Chicago, bit of a double commit, leaving RIZZO grounded, but RIZZO has been the star defender and gets the stop on the outfield pass. SYPICAL not going to be able to create the opportunity just yet. Arsenal bumped around, kills all of his momentum. I think he stole a corner boost, but still, that ball going to be neutral in the midfield, high in the sky. Arsenal with the touch. Chicago tries to, and Arsenal counters him into the corner. JNAP's with lots of space here. Getting pressured quickly by RETALS. Will take to the sky. Look for Chicago. Interception from SYPICAL. Out to RETALS. Turns this around. 1 touch, 2 onto the backboard. Shot from SYPICAL. Up and down. In it goes. 1:01 left on the clock, and Space Station's back on top.
Great cut there from RETALS, and an even better challenge, and all SYPICAL has to do is tuck it nicely underneath the crossbar. He does so. That ball's going to sleep sweetly tonight as SSG turn game 4 around and put themselves in the lead.
1 minute left. Trailing by 1 point now is G2. Come back alive for a bit in this series, but Space Station slowly ramping up the pace. And it's the quality of the touches from Space Station right now that is the difference maker for me. We saw the ball out to RETALS, like a challenge from SYPICAL on RIZZO, put the ball straight onto RETALS' hood. He 2 touches later has the ball above the goal, and SYPICAL gets this one away back to the corner. As G2 now trying to respond back. RETALS wins the challenge outright down the middle of the field. 30 seconds left. RIZZO back down to Chicago. 2 defenders collapse on him. 1 left on the goal line. It's SYPICAL. As JNAPS will try to set this one up, SYPICAL will reach out of goal. Cleared away.
Oh, wow.
RIZZO back to Chicago again, and Arsenal already has it. Red blocks at the point of contact.
Oh.
SYPICAL bumped off the goal line, though. JNAPS' shot is good. 12 seconds left, and we're tied up.
Chicago gets the much-needed touch there and sets his sights on the goal line and punches SYPICAL out of the picture. JNAPS with the picture-perfect shot. Just like that, Wave, we're all tied up.
Bumping the goalies out of the way. Remove these quality defenders. And G2's got a chance. 8 seconds left. The back pass dangerous, but RETALS will clear to the corner. 5 left on the clock. If either team can keep this one in the air, so Chicago will probably kill this right here. He sure will. 4 games in. We've had 2 overtimes. Space Station score here. They're on match point.
Oh, G2 going to do everything in their power to prevent that from happening because Space Station game is so dangerous, but you give them match point, and they're coming out guns a-blazing. Here comes RIZZO. That shot almost on target as RETALS gets it away, but Chicago, good poke back. Arsenal's awkward, and here comes JNAPS. Can't quite get a shot, but he just pops it up from RIZZO, and that opportunity thrown by the wayside for G2.
SYPICAL versus Arsenal. There's the pass. Chicago to the corner. Arsenal trying to take control here. Chicago gets it over the top of him as SYPICAL rushing back on the defense. He'll get his own corner boost, but knowing he's the far back line and the ball already behind RETALS, it was up to SYPICAL. Chicago off the ceiling and back down. The coordination there. SYPICAL, oh dear. The player getting bumped out of net, though. Leaves a wide open Arsenal. Get out of this guy. There's the last man back. Gets the clears he needs, but here's JNAPS now trying to pass to RIZZO. The 2 defenders committing, both of them missing. Arsenal, the backbone right now. The defense, but finally they're all in position. Chicago shot is good. G2 takes the win.
This placement is absolutely beautiful here from Chicago. Sees all 3 defenders bunched up on the close post, and he just launches it far and wide. And G2 tie this series up.
Man, Space Station's defense. Here in overtime, they got a little bit on the back foot. Just for a moment, they were tripping over themselves, and then they, like, I don't know, a clown on an escalator. They couldn't stop tripping over themselves as the ground continued to move a little bit too quickly. And eventually, G2 did get the open net shot and accuracy. Kind of like Game 3 was the story here. Game 4 going to be going back to G2. 2-2 in the series right now. Space Station's pace, though, has been increasing. If they're able to keep that up and win games in regulation, they're going to run away with this series.
Absolutely, but you could also counter that and say if they get too far ahead of themselves, they could absolutely get countered in return. So I'd like to see a nice controlled Space Station Gaming in game number 5, because I feel like they played a little too panicky. We saw a couple double commits, and you called it out. The coordination that SYPICAL and RETALS had in net, like, had not one of them called it, and thankfully they did, had not one called it, it would have led to a double commit on defense. So those quick plays, yeah, their communication's working now, but when the shots start coming in volumes like they did from G2, that's where you've got to start to question SSG's defense.
Yeah, there was one key moment of clear, beautiful communication, followed up by a, oh my goodness, what are we doing? They're in our faces and we gotta get it out of the net, and ultimately throwing the game. So here comes RIZZO in the beginning of game 4, blocked by RETALS on the retreat. I mean, every single one of these defenders, when they know it's their turn on the ball, there's basically nothing you can do. Removing them from net or forcing a double commit, creating moments where they are going to miscommunicate, those are really the keys to getting through the Space Station defense. As JKnaps tries, again, Arsenal already knows what's gonna happen, gets that block. We'll stay scoreless here in the first moment of game 5.
And I like that turn by Arsenal. Cutting rotations, he was the closest man to the ball. Sure, he didn't have the boost, but like I've said before, just because you're boostless doesn't mean you're useless. And he keeps that ball in the blue half, and they oh, awkward ball for Arsenal as he pinches it off the cross, or the side wall, I'm sorry. And he goes further than the ball in that situation.
RETALS got it through 2, but ran into RIZZO again. RIZZO continues to be the backbone of this defense, but 2 players miss onto the far side, off the post, and RIZZO's got the clear, getting away, looking for a counterattack, down towards the field. This one's just a little bit wide. We'll need some help, and off the backboard, RETALS has got this one away, taking it out of danger for his team. Arsenal off the board. Chicago demolished, though. Can Arsenal get the flip reset in the shot? JKnaps will cover it up, send it to the corner, but here's this follow-up onto the backboard. JKnaps gonna try and get it away. Oh my goodness, typical. So high in the sky, so quickly, gets another read, and now he'll have an opportunity at a shot. Out of boost, though. A demolition from Arsenal. He'll look for more. Chicago covers it up.
Yeah, Arsenal knew that wasn't going to lead to a shot, but it's going to lead to the sustained offensive pressure. But no, turned away by JKnaps, who gets demoed for his efforts. And this is a precarious ball, top of the box, but RETALS able to swoop in before RIZZO gets the much-needed touch for G2.
Chicago out to JKnaps. Where's the backboard? SYPICAL. Rolls it past 1. RIZZO with the response again. His challenge game continues to be strong. JKnaps now looking for RIZZO. Can he set up Chicago? RETALS try to dribble that one out. JKnaps there. SYPICAL. Quick half rotation in net. We'll get a nice save clear. Approaching halftime in game 5. Neither team found the back of the net just yet. Both teams with solid opportunities, though, and here comes another one. Arsenal to SYPICAL, and in. The defense just a little bit too far out and not able to get high in the net. That's Space Station on top first.
Oh, and just like that, once again, SSG, shots coming out of nowhere, and it's all because of that scoop pass from Arsenal, just going right into the box, the most dangerous spot for a pass to be going, and SYPICAL nails it home.
JKnaps now on the following kickoff. G2 now trailing and looking to tie it up here immediately. Wasn't able to curve it in towards the goal. We'll go back to normal rotations. JKnaps slowing this one down, getting called off by RIZZO, but Arsenal's right there, challenges it off him. Here's RETALS to the corner once more. Not where JKnaps was expecting. He'll dive back to get the stop. SYPICAL keeps it in the box. Arsenal's up for it. Also is RETALS. There goes their follow-up shot. Now counterattack from Chicago. Is it in, though? It's just wide. No, it is in. Okay, the camera angle was deceiving me there. Tie game from G2.
Yeah, and JKnaps held onto his flip till the last second, and SSG didn't think he still had it, thought they could push forward, get the touch on the ball, but he sneaks that ball out, and Chicago knew he just had to put it between the dotted lines.
And immediately they tie it up. Space Station, they had the lead and then immediately got aggressive. Chicago's able to punish that one. Just making sure his touchdown field was into the goal. Age-old statement in Rocket League. If you never miss an open net, you'll be grand champ. Don't worry about it. Here's SYPICAL over the top of 1. Now the pass down, 2 touches. RIZZO's got to make the save. I can't believe that touch into the midfield actually turned into a shot. Space Station just played so quickly.
Touch on that. That was incredible. He had to pull out the crystal ball to think where that ball's going. He pre-jumped that an hour before the shot came out, and SYPICAL misses that one. JKnaps just pokes it up, and SYPICAL again there for the clear. And talk about a speedy player. Every time the ball's in the air and you don't think someone's there, there's SYPICAL shining bright.
There's JNAPS in the corner, and Chicago moves to the other side to try and pick up control, but the ball takes all the bounces he doesn't want. Now RIZZO out of the backfield, and the third man moves into the corner. Final minute of Game 5. Winner of this game takes match point for Game 6. Arsenal behind this ball actually gave us some space. Chicago backs up, takes control. SYPICAL will neutralize it to the edge. Chicago called off by JNAPS. JNAPS to the back pass to RIZZO. RIZZO removed from the field and now onto the backboard. JNAPS looking to catch the guillotine. Here's RETALS up against Chicago. Clears it over the top. RIZZO far in the back will move in. Back to Chicago. 2 wide. JNAPS inbound. Shot is good and in. G2 takes the lead in the waning moments.
Oh, and all of SSG started to push forward here. No one had the backside covered. JNAPS saw it. Best eyes in the business and able to squeeze it inside post.
26 seconds left. Space Station now trailing. A slight defensive lapse could possibly cost them this series. They obviously best of 7. Got to go one more. Looking for a double tap now. Arsenal drops it down to Chicago's got to clear. 17 seconds left. SYPICAL's putting the pressure on, trying to tie it up and send us to a 3rd overtime in a row. RETALS now off the ceiling, not gonna be able to reach this ball. Gonna try and follow behind Chicago. Gets it towards the goal, and Chicago gets this one away. Arsenal back to RETALS hood. He's out of boost, but can he dribble it all the way? No way, it's there! Oh, dangerous. The third man was demoed though. There's no one there to take the shot. JNAPS gets the clear. SYPICAL's got a full tank. He's gonna flick it past one. Arsenal up for it and into the ground. G2 hold on the goal line and get to match point here. 1 win away from the final.
Oh, if you're a G2 fan, your heart had to stutter there as that ball was just floating above the goal line. But they were able to stand tall and keep it from going into the back of the net. G2 Esports on match point and looking to push themselves into the grand finals.
I mean, everybody on the desk was supporting Space Station. And you know, after the way we've been watching Space Station play today, you can't doubt that decision. There's a better way to say that sentence. Anyways, G2, very strong though, coming back here and putting this Space Station defense on the back foot game after game. And now 1 away from the finals. G2 has a lot of momentum here, Subi.
And the difference in that game was just capitalizing on opportunities. G2 only had 4 shots to Space Station, doubling them in that game, but it didn't matter because G2, anytime they saw a glimmer of hope, they just turned it into a sunburst. It just, boom, exploded in front of your eyes. The passing plays, the bumps, beautiful gameplay from G2. Now all they have to do is just strap in for game number 6.
Can they finish it here, or do we go to Game 7? RETALS, the midfield.
Can I answer that?
Absolutely. What do you think?
Can I just be thinking all for myself and have a Game 7? I mean, just those are my favorite things.
I think the only people here that don't want Game 7 is G2 and their fans. So, you know, I think the rest of us are on board for that. As a neutral party, Game 7s are super exciting. So,
and I don't even care who wins the Game 7. I'm not choosing, you know, it's just those are the best moments to see who gets it. And SYPICAL catches the defense, pushed way too far forward. His teammate teed it up on his hood, and he smacks it downfield.
They get a lot of power out of that one. Chicago just barely not able to reach it. And these long-range goals, shots taken from your own half, have been a hallmark of this series. One of the moment that pushed the game out of reach for Space Station in game number 5 was Chicago's worm burner from his own box. There's Chicago. Arsenal, a stop on him, and now RIZZO wins another challenge. Chicago, can he connect to JNAPS? Drops it onto his hood, and the ball is too wide. RIZZO not there for the pass. Or JNAPS' shot, just not accurate. One or the other there. A mistake either way from G2. JNAPS now into an empty backfield. The challenge is wide, but RIZZO was trying to fake it, so nothing really, no harm done. Chicago pitches it off of his backboard. SYPICAL will have to fall back as RIZZO just takes it from the midfield. RETALS covers it up on the retreat. JNAPS drops it to Chicago, and that's covered up by Arsenal at the point of contact. Now SYPICAL sending it back to midfield. Arsenal extends it, coming back onto defense. What a touch. And RETALS has just been sitting back here, holding his full boost tank as his teammates do everything for him.
And how about the ability of SSG to continually cut away those passing lanes And just see, that's exactly what G2 wants to come out with, and they're not going to allow them have their way with them as RIZZO puts it off the back wall. SYPICAL gets a very easy hit, gets the demo, and RETALS going to have a ton of space, ton of time to get this ball back into the blue half.
Oh, RETALS doing his best to get this ball into the backboard. JKnaps Chicago, 2 touches will put it back to the midfield, and then another touch to put it in front of the box. RIZZO too far away from it to make the immediate play, and 2 touches onto the backboard. RETALS trying to fall on it. JKnaps will get the clear. Ball's right there. He got first touch cleanly. Approaching halftime, Space Station have the goal they need to get to Game 7. Chicago onto the wall. JKnaps with a shot, and RETALS sideways in goal. SYPICAL will take it away, allow him to reposition. It has been the Arsenal SYPICAL show on offense for Space Station in this game. RETALS just holding down that back line.
Yeah, kind of different to see. Normally you're used to RETALS coming out with those shots, and RETALS standing tall on defense there. And that's another shot, and SYPICAL takes away the passing lane. Chicago had a good look at it. And right now, SSG doing a great job at midfield defense. And you said it, it is absolutely the SYPICAL and Arsenal show right now. But RETALS definitely doing his part for his team as he's not there on defense. He was in the corner getting boost. Precarious situation for SSG.
Oh, just behind Chicago. Quick half flip to try and to stall this one out and get it off the scoring line. Now Arsenal gonna get challenged. Here's JKnaps to quickly cover it up. Just get to the ball before it turns into a 50-50 in their own territory. Arsenal following this one down with JKnaps forcing him to make a touch in the midfield. Chicago has to adjust to pick this up, and RETALS has time to tackle. Now back into the midfield here. 1 minute and 27 seconds left. JKnaps airborne. Nobody following behind that ball from SSG. They're quick. They're putting a lot of space between the ball and themselves every time they take a touch. Not really dribbling yet. RIZZO with a miss. Chicago quickly collapses on that one, and RETALS had all the time. He's going to get another goal for him. Space Station now up by 2, looking for Game 7.
I cannot believe the turn of events. We just saw 2 players on SSG bump and completely fly across the field, and still G2 Esports couldn't put a shot on target. And somehow it results in a goal for SSG, extending their lead to 2 goals here. And G2 have a lot of work cut out for them if they want to close this series out.
Yeah, 2 goals they'll need just to get to overtime. They have one overtime. We've got 1-on-1 on overtimes here in this series. Chicago's touch is strange, but good enough to get it away from the goal. Now Arsenal. And RETALS takes one. RIZZO gets another save. I don't have a memory of RIZZO missing a save in this series. He has been holding down that back line so tightly. Now Chicago, a long touch. SYPICAL takes it high. Past one. RIZZO behind it. This falls down. Chicago, quick turn and goal. Gonna try, get the wave dash past. None of it's materializing for him as the Space Station defense able to just really turtle up here and play long clear ball. Get in between G2 over and over again. Chicago tries. Arsenal off the backboard's got the save. That double tap covered up by another player. Now JKnaps. Can he connect with RIZZO? No, he just drops it for Chicago, and Arsenal sends it off to the edge. 9 seconds left. RETALS into enemy territory. Arsenal to pass back to RETALS, looking for a 3rd goal to really put the nail in the coffin here, and he will find it. No, Chicago's got the stop, but it's not going to matter. Space Station 2-0 in Game 6. We're going to Game 7.
Oh, baby, strap in, because this is going to be a fantastic match. Both of these teams fighting for their lives, and both of these teams want that crown so badly of taking home the first fall major. And I don't know what we're going to get, Wave. I don't know if this is just going to be a defensive game back and forth, or if it's just going to be a shootout, because it has potential for both.
I hope for the shootout. The shootouts to me are just much more exciting, but this series has been trending defensive, as we've seen players like RETALS, who is almost always leading the charge, hanging back and letting his teammates go for the 2-man plays, the kind of 2-1 style of offense. And also RETALS, traditionally a player that tries to dribble the ball. We saw almost everybody on Space Station just going for long clears, long touches, just send the shot over and over again, force G2 to always have a player on that back line, and that player has been RIZZO for a lot of this game, though everybody here on G2 getting a decent amount of saves. So I don't know, like this really could stay that long range artillery style gameplay. I would love to see them keep it on the hood though and go for the fakes.
Yeah, it's gonna take some opening up, like you alluded to, and you were talking in Game 6 about RIZZO's ability to stay consistent on that back wall for them. He has yet to miss a ball, and If he stays strong, G2 absolutely have the ability to take this, but one mistake is all it takes, and SSG will be there to capitalize on it.
Well, here comes RETALS in the beginning of Game 7. Looking for the kickoff goal. Arsenal going to try and take the shot. RIZZO nearly got bumped. SYPICAL blocked by JNAPS, and everything from SSG lined up well, but the defense has an answer every time. SYPICAL now in the sky once more as they have had ball control pretty much the entirety of this first 30 seconds. Over the edge. RETALS with a demolition on a JNAPS. RIZZO quickly up to cover it. Chicago now following this one out, looking for a shot from midfield. Sends it. SYPICAL's got the save. Arsenal picks up boost and now goes for the dribble. Holds on to the ball. There's RIZZO underneath them. There's Chicago behind him, but demolished. JNAPS tries in. The end is wide open. All three players beaten in a different way from G2. That's Space Station with the lead.
And it just starts on the hood of Arsenal, and then he sets his sight on the last man back, and good heads-up play from SYPICAL. His teammates had to be screaming out, just launch it on target, it's open. And he's able to hit it perfectly. SYPICAL gets the go-ahead goal here in Game 7.
It starts with the dribble. That dribble, the space given to Space Station allowed them to change up, to move away from that artillery-style defense. And go for the dribbles here. Now Arsenal taking it to the sky. JNAPS with a read, and Chicago now with control in the corner, being challenged by SYPICAL. Goes back into the midfield, and JNAPS will try to follow this one. Bumper to ball. He's got the pass down to RIZZO, intercepted by Arsenal. Chicago quickly behind him. He'll look for an immediate follow-up, but SYPICAL will block it in the air, and now look for the clear himself. Back into the midfield with RETALS. RIZZO doing ring around the rosy with Arsenal in enemy territory. SYPICAL and RETALS going to try and score a second goal while they are there. Now Chicago gets it through two. Arsenal. This challenge goes 50-50 in the midfield. RIZZO plays it towards the goal. SYPICAL and Arsenal now. Off the backboard, no double tap. SYPICAL into the net. Chicago's got it off the post. RETALS waiting for RIZZO's touch. RIZZO doesn't actually make much contact. He gets just one little touch away, and then Chicago's able to clear it for them. G2 able to breathe for just a moment. Two players in this back line, and now here comes the rest of Space Station again.
Yeah, G2 just a gasp of air. They're not allowed to get out of their half fully, as SYPICAL again just continues to barrage the blue half with shot after shot and poke after poke, and that's open, but Chicago can't catch up. Arsenal extends the scoreline by 2 goals.
And they get in the space, the long-range artillery-style play, when you're doing it from your back third, almost always is going to be defended as long as there's one person back. Once you're able to get those long shots going from the midfield, though, you have so much more pressure, and you do not have time to go out and get boost. Chicago just trying to refill his tank, has to immediately scream back, and this touch is not enough. 2-0 for Space Station here in Game 7.
Yeah, and that's all due to that sustained pressure, the last minute that we saw coming out from Space Station Gaming. Once G2 got a breath of fresh air, they wanted to immediately push out, and it just wasn't going to happen. And SSG knew it. They knew they were going to catch G2 push too far forward. And G2, second half is about to start, and they have their work cut out for them. How nice would it be for them to get a goal here and go into the final half just needing one?
Another goal, a goal quickly for G2 would really help even up the playing field. Chicago and RIZZO going to try and do that right now. A response from Arsenal neutralizes both of them, but JNAPS over the top of 2. SYPICAL's loose on the side, still manages to get out and get the save. G2's going to try and keep this pressure on. JNAPS in the midfield, but Arsenal pushes the ball right back, reverses the direction of rotation for G2, and then gets it over the top of 1. RETALS now going to be playing this down into a corner where we're seeing Chicago get bumped by Arsenal. Gets it past him. It's up to RIZZO on the backboard. Back away from 1 and carries it to midfield. He's out of boost, but he's gotten them out of danger for just a moment. G2, they've got to be able to stay on offense. Here's another shot from SYPICAL. Chicago's got the save. Savior medal for Chicago in Game 7.
And love that play from RETALS. He baits Chicago out, and he just goes flying by him. But Chicago pokes it downfield to RIZZO. JNAPS is up, but he gets beat out by none other than SYPICAL. I swear, Wade, every single time we call out a ball in midair, SYPICAL's name is quickly to follow.
SYPICAL's been very, very fast on the aerial challenge. And now here off the backboard, he'll get a clear. Chicago moves in to take control. He's going to have Arsenal to deal with the net, but gets bumped off it, and Arsenal's able to move in, push that one past him, and RIZZO wasn't expecting that touch to be as awkward as it was. Now JNAPS on the infield pass. Chicago shot just wide. RIZZO's follow-up blocked in the midfield. Ball bouncing high. Chicago's going to try and connect with JNAPS. There's the pass. There's the shot. Oh! The goal again. Accuracy from G2 just not there. Follow from RIZZO is high. Chicago doesn't have a free touch. 1 minute remaining. The clears come through, and Space Station's defense holds.
Oh, you gotta hit one of those as SYPICAL breaks up the entire offensive sequence. that just came out from G2. They're going to have to reset, retry again, and they're right back at it. But time slowly ticking away, and it's slowly going in favor of SSG. G2 need one desperately, and the ball's on the wrong side of the half. About 30 seconds to go here, Wave, and they're still down 2 goals.
RETALS to the outside. Chicago's up for it, but misses the ball. RIZZO will look to dribble it, but gets challenged in his box. Loses control, and Space Station smothering them. Just puts the pillow on and keeps them in their goal over and over. Over the top of it, the ball is high at the net, but they don't need another goal at this point. Just keep the pressure on. The shots are good enough. Force them to dive for saves. Don't let them have control and get a clear. Chicago off of his back wall, but the demolition on the player he was trying to get it to. 3 seconds left. It's not going to be enough time. Space Station, it took them 7 games, but they will play in the North American Grand Finals.
And this is the SSG players love to see, unless you're on the opposite side of them. And SSG pull out the Hydra, all 3 members getting involved, and it's just not a one-man show. And when they're playing like a team, they are so dangerous to compete against, but we have to tip our caps over to G2 because after game 1, it looked like it was going to be a clean sweep for SSG, but they turned it into a series, Wave Funk.
They absolutely did. Brought this one well back. Didn't actually, I was going to say they shut out SSG a few times, but no, the shutouts definitely all went SSG's way. G2, though, winning critical overtimes, tightening things up in the midfield, and even playing a very clean game here up until those final moments. Multiple scoring opportunities, every shot just wide of the net. And up against a defense like Space Station, you got to force them to make those saves. Do not let the post do the work for them. Man, Space Station put it up to him. G2 was so close and yet still so far.
Yeah, it just seemed like in game 7, they were trying to force too many things. There were a few times, and I think you saw it as well, where RIZZO was kind of putting himself out of position, trying to get a demo downfield. And it's like, you got to focus on defense first and let those demos come. But still, strong showing the entire split from G2 Esports.
Absolutely. Well, that's semifinal number 1. We've got one more of these before we get our grand final matchup. We've now got Space Station waiting in the finals. Who's going to challenge them? NRG or Envy? We'll find out after the break.